2025 has been a pretty good year for Dokkan releases, but in this video, I want to talk about some units that fell short and disappointed the community. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and now let's get straight into the list. This year has honestly had like a ton of amazing releases, but I think the first unit I want to talk about at number 10 was Tech Kaioken Blue Goku. Honestly, when I say worst units, it doesn't even mean that these units are unusable or bad, so please don't get angry that I have any of these units on the list. It's just like, these are the worst performers out of a year where we had so many amazing units, right? So don't feel too offended if like a unit you like is on here. This is just my list and how these units performed for me. Before we get into the video, make sure to support my channel by clicking the link at the top of the description. If you click that link, you'll basically get a legendary champion in Raid Shadow Legends called Elenaril, and you'll get 3 epics as you level up. So make sure to click that if you're interested in getting started. It supports me, it'll help you out a ton, and you can also use the code Desert Queen to get another free legendary to get you started. And also, if you log in for 7 days right now, you can get a free legendary Michelangelo. It's a huge bundle deal. It's going to be really good. So if you're interested in the game, make sure to go click that link. So anyways, Tech Kaioken Blue Goku, I think he was a major disappointment. He had one of the most underwhelming abilities and kits for one of the coolest moments in the show. Everyone really loved this part with the Kaioken Blue during the Universe 6 versus Universe 7, you know, little saga that they had in Super. And it was really disappointing to see how weak this card was in comparison to how cool the moment was, and how in the past the other Kaioken Blue Goku that we got from this era was, you know, like he was pretty dominant at the time. He was good, obviously way different meta, but still this guy has like a weird kind of dodge build, which is good. It kind of makes up for his, you know, his sacrificing HP on Super thing, but it kind of just sucks that we didn't really get like a Kaioken Blue since 2020, and this is who we got as our Kaioken Blue. The revive buff basically just gives him back his entrance animation buff with 20% dodge added on top. You know, not bad, I guess, but for a skill that literally requires you to use up one of the most useful skills in the game, the revive, it's not the best. And then also that, you know, that whole standby phase isn't really doing all that much damage. It's a bit underwhelming. It's kind of like there's so many other units that hit just as hard and they don't have to go into a whole standby just to do that much damage. It's also weird that he has an HP sacrifice for his super, but he has built-in additionals that make him super more. So you're kind of losing like, you know, like 20% of your health on a turn just for attacking. And we're in like a meta where bosses are hitting you for 700k anyways. So basically, if you have under 1,000,000 health, this is probably going to screw you. Also, the team that you're running him on also, you know, sacrifices HP because the other Kaioken Blue, the Super Easy A, was on his team. And so basically you're going into this losing all your HP before the boss even hits you. At least he has dodge and he's got a meh team. So, you know, he gets the 10th spot because I think he's still usable. I don't think he's like bad or anything. He's just underwhelming for a Kaioken Blue Goku. Now, number 9 is Int LR Goku and Frieza. These guys actually aged really well for all the 10th anniversary LRs. Frieza is very hard to keep alive, but once Goku comes out, we all know this becomes an actual viable unit. All you need to do is make sure he gets his rainbow orb. It sucks that Goku's damage is kind of low when he does like finally get into the fight, but he does have stacking, so it makes up for it. I think the worst part of this card is the annoying limitations that, you know, obviously Frieza's got the HP threshold for damage reduction, and then I think Goku has some other HP threshold, but that's, I think he just has to be over 77% HP, which is not as bad. The active skill is very solid. It gives you a lot of value. It creates rainbow orbs and it buffs stats, so that's very solid. And for a unit that initially was called the worst anniversary release, I think this unit made an amazing comeback, and I think they aged pretty well. You just have to, you know, get past the whole Frieza part, but this unit can kind of do well with support, so not the worst thing ever. I think number 9 is a good spot for this LR, but you know, it's still on the worst units of the year. But honestly, I'm happy with how they aged. Now, obviously, the next unit who released poorly and didn't age too well is LR STR Evo Vegeta. He is still an anniversary LR, but he is the additional normal demon. We all know him for this. He has no special ability to add value besides the unit super attack, which lets him stack attack, which is all right, pretty good in Festival, and he is runnable in Festival, but he is very orb hungry and he's basically only viable with support. He has no guard, but he does have decent defense if you're running him with Vegeta and Trunks on, you know, on the Vegeta and Trunks team, because they give him, you know, defense every time they do an ultra super attack. So he's able to stack up defense to, you know, into the millions, and then also have, I think, like a total 60% damage reduction, which is, you know, very solid once you have like a million plus defense. So he does well in Festival, but only on the Vegeta and Trunks team. He's basically going to struggle in most content right now besides Festival of Battles. You know, if you're a Vegeta lover, I'm sorry, don't get your hopes up, but STR Evo Vegeta, he's in a rough spot right now. And I don't know, they didn't do too much to make him stick around. Now, the next unit I want to talk about is the AGL Peppy Gals Videl that we got. This was a detrimentally mid release for Peppy Gals. You know, this unit looks amazing on paper, looked very solid on paper, but it's a weird design also that gives you damage reduction before attacking, but all the better defense comes after attacking, because you've got some additionals built in, which by the way are not guaranteed supers, which also sucks, but still they are high chance. Anyways, those will give you the 100% defense post super, but the damage reduction comes before you attack. Anyways, even if you put all that to the side, it is a Peppy Gals unit. Very interesting design, and it seemed really good on paper, but the problem is it has she has very iffy links, so she basically shares no links on the team where she would actually be good, and she has an identity crisis when it comes to teams, because basically she needs a Gohan to like be valuable, but then she shares absolutely no links with any good Gohans. So it's really disappointing that they had this really cool kit, but it's like they hired the guy who was in charge of making kits in 2022 and 2023 even sometimes, and they brought him back just to make this unit with all this convoluted, like random conditional stuff. Just way too many conditions. Videl could have just like been standalone, and they could have just made all her conditions based on Peppy Gals, or maybe just make it so that Gohan and her share one special text in the passive, and it's like, oh, like if there's a Gohan on the team, like boom, 70% everything, or like 100%, I don't know, whatever. It's just very hard to run her with the Gohan, even if she does have that special passive. I don't even know, whatever. Regardless, I'm not in charge of designing these units. Whoever is kind of fumbled this Videl, but I think we can move on to the next spot, which is number 6, and number 6 goes to SSJ3 Daima Vegeta. Obviously, don't have to go too in depth with this guy, but he is the slot 1 fraud. He has mid stacking because it, you know, it ends after what, 4 turns, so it's not infinite stacking, but it's like mid stacking. He's better in slot 2 or 3 since he can't take the slot 1 attacks most of the time, but then he loses his buff, so he's basically just like a fraud in every slot. And also his active skill doesn't really do him any favors. It's not all that special, it's just a small buff. That's about it for SSJ3 Vegeta. Let's move on to number 5, and I'd say number 5 is Physical Spopovich. This is a banner unit. This is where the list starts getting a bit, you know, different, but obviously he's got a decent design, but all the category limitations are very annoying for his kit, which kind of holds him back. They basically just want you to play him against the Videl fight. He has no real teams or good link partners in my opinion, and he can hit kind of hard, but he's definitely not usable in any difficult content where you're not facing basically Videl, or I guess another Peppy Gal. But yeah, so he's just like the, you know, he's the abuser. Let's just be honest. That's the only content he's good in, the abuse content. Now, next slot is number 4. I'm going to give this to AGL Beerus. He's got a weird entrance condition. I don't know why he has to either have a successor or be below 99%. I think it's really stupid. They should have just like I don't even know. They should have just let him have the entrance animation for free. Or maybe just, I don't know. I don't know. But why put the 99%? That's so odd. I guess it lets you bring him into events where like before you go into the fight, you can land on one of those like key blast zones that does damage to you. I also don't like how he has multiple HP conditions. He's got, you know, those weird Beerus links, but that's just what happens when you're a Beerus, because they give you links like Connoisseur and the Innocence. Whatever. Not the best links, but that's just how it is with a Beerus unit nowadays. He's got a really good super attack effect because he can permanently stack attack and defense, so it makes him instantly somewhat viable in festival or long content. I just don't know how he's going to survive long enough to get to a point where he's stacked up to actually survive stuff, but I don't know. He does have dodge at least, but the thing is he's dodge or die with 50% dodge, which is putting it all on a coin flip is not really my style when I play this game, especially when I'm in an event where you know, the boss can just destroy me after a 30 to 1 hour run. Anyways, basically Beerus is just very average. He's got his niche uses, but he is very average. So, you know, that's about it for him. I think the next unit though, number 3, is AGL Ace Up the Sleeve Piccolo. He is a very, very, very unique card, but I don't know about ace up the sleeve. It's more like ass up the sleeve. This guy is very weirdly designed, right? He's not awful, but it's just like, why jump through all the hoops when there's better options that do the same stuff for free? Like, he loses stats in 2025, which is just instantly a downside. He's a very creative unit, but it's useless creativity. It's like they have this big payout kind of situation, but why do I need this payout when standby skills already exist? And he's basically just a really long standby with a mid payout. And also you can't super attack on him for 4 turns. So it's a 4-turn standby that starts basically from the beginning of the battle where he can't do supers. I think he's losing 50% attack per turn or whatever. So very interesting design. I'm not the biggest fan. You know, I'm all for creative cards. It's just this was really odd, especially to seal yourself for 4 turns from the beginning of the battle just to put out one big super attack. Whereas the hardest hitting unit in the game, for example, this is like a crazy cherry pick, but Omega is going to be there in 1 turn. He's putting out the same damage, but on the first turn, and he doesn't have to do anything. He can basically just activate his active, and even Nova Shenron, the free-to-play LR, will do just as much damage. I just don't see the reason to run this Piccolo, and especially if he doesn't crit, it's like you just kind of wasted all that time and you have to play around this guy for all those turns. He's a cool unit to see some high numbers from, but that's about it. He's not too impressive. Now, number 2, Physical Exchange Goten and Trunks, the free-to-play unit. This is the only free-to-play unit on the list. I just absolutely hate how they did this unit. This could have been such a cool free-to-play unit. I know it's the free unit that was designed to show off the exchange mechanic, but man, like, why did they start with Trunks and then it goes into a Goten that has barely any difference in stats? I know, like, the whole point in the show was that they had to even out their strength level, but that defeats the purpose of an exchange unit because they're not doing anything differently. They both get like 1 turn of mid defense, and then they lose the defense, and then they have their active skill. I know it's like probably decent in free-to-play content, but I am just so annoyed how there's barely any difference in their kit. And also in the show at this point, Trunks was obviously stronger. He had to actually lower his power level so that they could fuse into Gotenks. But the thing is, the Gotenks fusion of this card isn't even a transformation, so there's no payout for making them completely even in the card. You just get an active skill as Gotenks that does a bit of damage and is kind of mid. That's just my main issue. There's just barely any difference, and then the Gotenks isn't even a transformation. It's just an active. It's just really disappointing. They could have made a really cool free-to-play card, and I don't think it would have been that crazy to just throw in a Gotenks card. Even if it has some mid animations, it would have been cool to just have a Gotenks card, right? That does something that's good. Anyways, number 1, I'm sure everyone saw this coming from a mile away. It's obviously Megetta. I don't need to say much. This guy is just the most awful unit they've probably ever released. He's probably one of the worst units in the game, even counting a couple years back. He has no super attack effect for himself. It's just a little bit of support for his allies. He's only usable on a Universe 6 team and still sucks on the Universe 6 team. So even if you give him everything he needs, he still sucks. He stuns himself after taking 1 super. He's got awful links, and he basically just takes that 1 super and then becomes useless for the rest of the fight. So wow, what a great design, right guys? I mean, I really don't know what they were thinking when they made this guy. He is just god awful. They really could have done better. Like, come on, you guys could have just made him a tank, like his whole like a proper tank. He doesn't need to stun himself after taking an attack. Wow. I mean, imagine if we had a good Megetta on the Universe 6 team. That would have been so cool. Like a really good tank. Even if he doesn't do crazy damage, he could have just been like a support tank, and we would have had like, wow, an amazing Megetta on the Universe 6 team. Universe 6 is so viable, we can keep running it. But they said no, Megetta is going to stun himself. Anyways, guys, that's it for the list. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know if I missed anyone that you think should be on this list, or if I put anyone that you don't think should be on this list. Make sure to support my channel by clicking the link at the top of the description. If you click that link, you'll basically get a legendary champion in Raid Shadow Legends called Elenaril, and you'll get 3 epics as you level up. So make sure to click that if you're interested in getting started. It supports me, it'll help you out a ton, and you can also use the code Desert Queen to get another free legendary to get you started. And also, if you log in for 7 days right now, you can get a free legendary Legendary Michelangelo. It's a huge bundle deal. It's going to be really good. So if you're interested in the game, make sure to go click that link. But yeah, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and